Yeah, I think we've got a list of the character names because I do want to talk about who your favorite characters are, who you enjoyed creating, who you enjoy fleshing out, championing. We've got Dr. Mensa. Now, we love Dr. Mensa. Dr. Mensa
Yeah.
is, it's Murderbot's savior, the true north almost in a way, the one who opened Murderbot's eyes to being treated in a way that it didn't even know was possible. You're right, Dr. Mensa has the most descriptors, so I'm able to picture her probably the best. But what is she? Is she one of your favorite characters? Because you've written her with such love.
Yeah, I do. And I also wanted to show her being vulnerable because in the first book, she's very strong. She is a very strong character, particularly in Exit Strategy where she's been kidnapped and held prisoner. And this is the life on preservation does not prepare you for this kind of thing. And so I wanted to show how even as a strong person as she is affected by this. And it's okay to be affected by that.
Yeah, she got rattled.
Yeah. And one of the big things was trying to get her to take the trauma.
Just the fact that she was facing trauma, but
Yeah. And they were trying to get her to basically take the trauma treatment that was available there.
She was like, no, I want to yell at Murderbot right now. And that's what Vaden's just commented saying, yes, I love her. Not only is she super smart, but she only takes no shit from Murderbot when it gets too emotional. And it's kind of lovely, yeah, that he's kind of going, well, you know that I've killed people. I've called myself Murderbot. And she's just like, I don't care. You nearly sacrificed yourself. Not okay. Don't pull that again. And he's kind of like, oh, I'm feeling emotions, which is really, really sweet. But I love their dynamic. I love their trust. And it's interesting with Pin Lee, who has just by book 4 started calling Murderbot asshole. And they have that kind of like brother-sister relationship where she's just over it and is happy to just call him an asshole and be done with it, but not pander or tiptoe or be scared. And I think that's actually more endearing.
Yeah, I really liked that character, and developing that character was fun because, she had a really kind of strong, almost abrasive personality. And, she's a space lawyer in this world. That's what you need to kind of like get through this. Her and Murderbot have almost more compatible personalities. And actually, Rathy makes a comment at one point that Murderbot uses a lot of the same swear words as Pin Lee.
Yes, yep.
So it's almost like it's picking up personality traits from her a little bit.
Oh, I didn't piece that together, but that actually makes a lot of sense now that you've said it like that. Rathy is, I really loved at the end of Exit Strategy, to save the crew, he almost deletes his own programming and has to reboot, and it hides its files in its favorite serial and is able to kind of reboot all of its data in a way. And so you get these one-liners of what he's saved for each of these people that he's interacted with. And it's Dr. Mensa. I like her. She's good. Dr. Rathy, he's a friend of mine. And he's like, wow, that's weird. I don't have friends. But apparently this human is my friend. Okay, I'll figure that out. Dr. Garathan, hate him. I hate you. And he's like, I know. He's like, no, don't laugh. This is not funny. I really hate you. And he's like, okay, you're at 60% now. Those moments were just laugh out loud funny for me. I absolutely love them. Did you think that it was important to have a character that was unlikable and butted heads like Dr. Garathan?
Yeah, I think there's always a lot of place for an antagonist. Not necessarily... I've worked with beginning writers, and there's, your antagonist doesn't have to be your villain.
Yeah.
Your antagonist is somebody that,
just don't get along.
Provokes, you don't get along, and you butt heads and have different ideas, and that helps drive conflict in the plot. You got to have a lot of not binary good and evil conflict among your characters, or to me, it's just not going to be interesting. And that's how I learn, that's how I do most of my characterization. It's very hard for me to really develop a character when they're alone. If someone was, you starting out a book where someone is trapped alone or something like that, it doesn't usually work for me because it's only seeing that character interacting with other characters that they like and dislike and everything that I can really start to kind of grow everyone's personalities.
Yeah, right. And you've done a really great job. Like, there are people that could be like, I really like Garathan. Like, I think that he's level-headed and he can, get the job done, and I don't think he's out of line. But because it's a first person, you do kind of form bias with what Murderbot's going through, and those emotions, and dissect it in that way. There's a beauty between sort of this group, not only how they interact with Murderbot, but with each other. And I love how you have, yes, normalized, but also predicted sort of where we're going to be at in terms of having relationships in this distant, future, this far off future. Marriage, relationships, commitments, same-sex relationships are just a walk in the park. It's not even mentioned. It's so effortless and easy. And then polygamy, having multiple partners. Where did you come up with that decision to kind of predict how patterns will evolve? I mean, relationships will evolve.
Well, that's really one of the hardest things about writing the future. You want to kind of extrapolate from now. And so I was kind of thinking, yeah, I want these societies where everything is open, the relationships are very natural, and there's not a lot of imposed rules that don't make a lot of sense for how humans actually operate and how humans fall in love with each other and that kind of thing. Also, we're only seeing some societies. Murderbot hasn't seen a long range of human societies because of where it's been sent in the corporation rim and where it's traveled so far. So there could be other societies out there that are much more restrictive, much more old-fashioned,
traditionalist,
and imposing these really, draconian strictures on people's relationship. I just wanted to show that I feel like that's the future, and so that's the future. That's a little bit of the future I wanted to see put into it. When so much of the situation they're in with the corporation rim is so depressing.
Yeah, there's nice balance. It's like it's not all bleak.